academic writing, it's so important to cite sources correctly. If you don't, you can miss out on vital marks, or worse, be accused of plagiarism. Either of these problems can have serious consequences. This makes it very important to know how to cite sources correctly. And for many students at many universities, this will mean understanding Harvard style. First off, I should start by saying there's actually no such thing as Harvard referencing. There's not a single unified style known as Harvard referencing. Harvard is the name of a general referencing style, of which there are many variations depending on your institution. So to know the exact citation style to use in your work, you'll need to consult your style guide and check with your instructor first. But most versions of Harvard referencing follow a similar overall approach, which I'll set out in this video. The most common format for an in-text citation in Harvard style is to give the author's surname and the year of publication for the source you're citing, separated by a comma in brackets. This is known as a parenthetical citation. For example, if you wanted to cite a book by an author called Maria Ferguson from 2007, you'd include these details in the citation, then you'd give full source details in the reference list. Some versions of Harvard referencing don't bother with the comma between the surname and the date of publication, but all versions require including the author's surname and the date of publication, so make sure to include both. If you've already mentioned the author's name in your writing, you don't need to repeat it again in your in-text citation. Instead, simply give the year of publication in brackets after the author's name. This is known as a narrative citation. For instance, using our previous example, if you'd mentioned Maria Ferguson in your text, you would just need to cite 2007 in brackets. Quoting sources. If you're directly quoting a source, or paraphrasing but want to highlight a specific passage, you should include a page number or numbers in your citation. In Proof's version of Harvard referencing, these go after the year of publication, separated by a comma. Use P for a single page or PP for multiple pages, and put a period before the page number or numbers. So, a parenthetical citation with a quote would look like this. The effects of plant life in the office are primarily psychological. Ferguson 2007 P3. A narrative citation with a quote would look like this. Ferguson 2007 PP 2-3 says that many people focus on the oxygenation provided by plant life, but the effects of creating a greener office space are primarily psychological. This is another area where there's room for variation. Some versions of Harvard don't use the P before the page number. Others use slightly different punctuation, for example, giving the page number after a colon rather than a period. And some give the page numbers in their own brackets after the quotation, as opposed to after the date of publication as shown here. If you're not sure exactly what to do when quoting a source, check your style guide. Sources with multiple authors. In Proof's version of Harvard, if a source has two authors, you should include both surnames with the word "and" between as a connector. Some versions use an ampersand here instead of the word "and", so be sure to check your style guide. A parenthetical citation with two authors would look like this. There was once a taboo against vegetation in office spaces. Kim and Moore, 2004. A narrative citation, on the other hand, Kim and Moore, 2004, note that there was once a taboo against plants in the office. When citing a source with three or more authors, the most common approach is to use the first author's last name followed by et al., the abbreviation for "and others." However, you should always give all of the author's surnames in your full reference list entry. So a parenthetical citation with three or more authors would look like this. The color green has a calming effect. Tony et al. 2013. Whereas a narrative citation would read, Tony et al. 2013 claim that the color green has a calming effect. There are plenty of variations here too. Some versions of Harvard referencing recommend giving all of the author's surnames even in your in-text citation the first time, and then using et al. If you cite the source again later in your work. Others only use et al. For sources with more than three authors. So again, if you're at all unsure, check your style guide. That covers the basics of citing sources in your work in Harvard style referencing. I'm building a Harvard referencing playlist, So if there's any specific things you want me to cover, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to check the resources I've linked in the description for more Harvard guidelines, and subscribe to the channel for weekly writing tips. Your writing, proofed.